Creating Another Self, The Inner Therapist. By Cynthia Rose Young Schlosser, c. 2010. Each of us has different selves. Among others, we have the inner child self, the part of us that loves birthday presents and having fun. We have the responsible adult self that goes to work on time and accomplishes necessary tasks. We have the romantic self that longs for completion in relationships. Now it is time to create perhaps the most important self of all, the shepherd self. The therapist self is the self that protects and nurtures all the others, viewing all other selves, no matter how many or few, as a flock under its care. It is the quiet watcher that is responsible for noticing the least lack of harmony within any of the selves, or within the flock as a whole. It is the self that knows what to do to restore this harmony. The good shepherd, the therapist, allows nature to take its course and only intervenes when necessary. This therapist first of all must have some understanding of what nature is, and how it works. Nature is life. For the purpose of this paper, nature is love itself. Nature is power, intelligence, and presence manifesting in form. Being intelligent, nature knows how to promote, propagate, and nurture itself. It knows how to heal itself. In normal circumstances, nature is self-regulating and self-fulfilling, only needing a watcher or therapist when something goes wrong, sometimes terribly wrong. Because of nature's power, intelligence and presence, usually only a tiny corrective measure is needed to optimize nature's own innate healing ability to bring about harmony once again. The areas of healing where to look when something goes wrong nature manifest in 4 densities, from the most subtle to the most dense. When any of these densities are out of harmony with the others, stress is created. Stress is disease. Nature itself is love, or perhaps one could call it divine presence. When manifesting in a form, it creates will, thoughts, feelings, and sensations. Will is the spiritual self. It is our desire body. Thought is the mental self, often called the causal body. The mental self takes desires and gives them inner form in inner visual images. Feeling is the emotional body, often called the astral body. The feeling self reflects and correlates desires and thoughts already generated. The emotional self takes all the information of desire and thought and compresses it into magnetic flowing energy to attract the inner visual images into form in the outer world. Sensations are the material physical body, which experiences the now moment of ever-changing physical experience and is logically aware of the other 3. All of these densities are interrelated, and whenever anything goes wrong in one of them it affects the others. Taking into account that all the inner selves mentioned in the first part of this article each have these 4 levels, the therapist addresses each of these 4 levels whenever there is a lack of harmony in any of them. Remember that nature is love, it is divine presence, and when it is functioning normally, there is health, joy and happiness on every level. If desires are self-defeating, negative visual images are entertained in the mind, which in turn generate negative emotions which attract negative experiences in the physical world. As the pain of these negative energies become noticeable, the therapist's self steps in to bring about harmony and joy once again. It is obvious that whatever is negative on each level must be changed to positive once again. How is this to be done? First, the desire for change happens. When this happens, the inner visual images must also change from negative to positive. This is where the inner therapist comes in. It is often not enough to simply will the mind to visualize positive images, since negative energy is already flowing in the emotional body, which is in turn affecting both the inner thoughts as well as the physical body. It is much easier if the emotions are changed to positive. In this way they will attract positive visualizations in the mental body and positive sensations on the physical. Then all of the 4 levels are back in harmony. How to change negative emotions to positive? Over millions of years the human brain formed 3 primary areas of function, commonly known as the reptilian or primitive brain, the limbic or emotional brain, and the neocortex or intellectual brain. When negative energy is present, there is a constriction in the primitive brain in which a fight or flight process is generated. All blood rushes into the body to promote survival. Blood is not as available to the limbic or neocortex area. The first thing to do is become aware of the physical body itself, locating areas of tension caused by this fight or flight condition. This is where the corresponding negative emotions will be stored. Become aware of these negative emotions and simply accept them. Any resistance to them, whether it is guilt, fear, analysis or whatever will only make them more powerful. Acceptance of these negative feelings alone begins the process of change from negative to positive, because emotions are compressed information. Accepting this information completes their innate purpose and process so that the emotions themselves, and therefore the body, can relax. In doing this, the blood flows from the primitive brain and through the limbic system. This acceptance means being with the feelings long enough for them to completely run their course and relay their information to your awareness. In some cases it is helpful, and for some it happens spontaneously, for the tense energy in the body to take over in a safe way. This results in a number of cathartic behaviors such as spontaneous anger, which can be expressed safely by taking a large sledgehammer and breaking planks of wood, or sobbing, heaving, crying. Not everyone experiences this, and in those cases it is enough to just put the attention on the tense area of the body, tune into the emotions that are making it tense, and quietly accept the emotions. When, for any reason, it is not possible to act out cathartically, the quiet way is used successfully. Remember, there is a third option. Imagining that you are crying or acting out is helpful, since the subconscious mind does not distinguish between an imagined or actual happening. Either way, it is amazing how fast emotions change once they are unblocked and allowed to flow, delivering their information successfully. Usually it only takes a few moments, or minutes, for the emotional energy to completely release its message, subside and change. Now the blood can flow to the neocortex. At this point, inner visual images can be successfully and easily changed. It is at this point that positive, beautiful, healing visual images are created that outpicture the newly awakened desire to be in harmony, joy, and positivity. The inner therapist now can help the self as a whole or any of the inner selves to imagine and create positive visual images, carefully nurturing them over time so that the emotional body becomes filled with beautiful flowing feelings. This in turn becomes a magnetic attraction to new positive sensations in the physical body as harmony is restored in realities in the physical world. We can do this. The heart excretes 5,000 times more electromagnetic energy than the brain. So as we open our hearts, the more we can magnetize to us. Remember the Bible verse. Delight in the Lord, in divine life, and He shall give the desires of your heart. Why unhealed emotions biologically numb out happy feelings? Decades ago it was discovered that the human brain secretes the same survival chemicals into the bloodstream when emotional or physical pain is incurred. This allowed damaged people to function, to fight or flight, to survive until safety was found. Not only was blood channeled into the primitive brain as explained above, away from the limbic system and the neocortex, but actual organically produced opiates flooded the bloodstream to numb out emotional and physical pain so that a wounded or frightened person could still function enough to get to safety. The problem with this is that the same blood chemicals that numb out physical and emotional pain also numb positive feelings and sensations. This is why heavily traumatized people have such a difficult time experiencing emotional and physical pleasure in general. People with unresolved negative emotions have a hard time getting high on life, and find themselves stuck in mid-range emotions and pleasures, wondering why life is so bland. As long as these chemicals are shutting down physical and/or emotional pain, keeping it out of awareness, it is not possible to feel the highs or the lows, neither the worst or the best. In order to experience the highs of life, to taste the sweetness and rapture that our souls long to have on a regular basis, it becomes absolutely necessary to heal old subconscious wounded feelings. The worst of these wounded feelings, that numb us out the most, usually happened during our most vulnerable times in life. Unresolved pain from conception, due to negative emotions in father and mother, through difficult times in gestation and birth, can keep a person seriously numbed out for life unless this early cellular memory is finally processed and healed. It is not easy to access these cellular memories unless something happens in present time to really upset us. Then a sharp increase in painful emotional stimulation temporarily overrides the body's normal numbing out condition. Until enough numbing out chemicals are secreted into the blood to once again deaden the emotional pain, it is possible to access present-time emotional pain and then ride it into deeper levels of cellular memory, to access old pain from long ago. This is the time to do emotional healing. When painful feelings come up is the best time to follow the procedure described above. The bottom line is that until old emotional pain is first brought into awareness and then accepted and felt through to resolution, The inherent good feelings of the limbic system and the genius of the neocortex cannot be experienced and utilized properly. When emotionally upsetting events happen, grab the opportunity to surf the feelings into old memories of times when you felt that way before. Go back in time and relive the oldest memory over and over until all the feelings are felt through. Refer to Trauma Clearing Form for complete description of this procedure, so that the visual images, the thoughts, and the feelings all go through change for permanent resolution. On a day-to-day basis, the first step to finally healing old hurts is becoming aware of tension or pain in the physical body, placing your attention on this part of the body, and feeling what is making that area tense, accepting what you find. Stay with the feelings until they deliver their message and then they innately change of their own accord. When the emotional pain is healed, both the body and the feelings can experience joy, and life can be beautiful once again. For I have not given you the spirit of fear, but of joy and life everlasting.